Hi guys. Okay, so in this video, I am going to do another one on the covert female narcissist. So first of all, I want to acknowledge two things. I want to acknowledge that on a lot of these forums, whether they're the coaches or people's personal stories or the psychologists, I feel like they do not acknowledge as well the victims that have been men, that have been, either empaths or codependent men that have been in relationships with these female narcissists, or same-sex partners who have been in relationships with female narcissists. I feel like there's just such a focus on the male narcissist. So I want to acknowledge that it's totally possible, if you're a man, that you were in a relationship with a covert female narcissist, as well as you could have been a lesbian and same-sex partnership. So just want to acknowledge you and to recognize that you absolutely can be victims. You can absolutely have complex PTSD, just like, the women who have been abused by these narcissists. So first of all, they are a master. The females are like a master at hiding their true nature. Only a very few people are going to know the truth about these people. And, this is also applicable to male narcissists. With the coverts, they're very similar. There may be a few differences. I'm going to try to keep the focus more on the female, but a lot of these characteristics are going to be true for the male covert narcissist as well. So these are the perfect example of their street angels and their house devils. Their manipulation can be highly sophisticated and very hidden. Their behavior might be a little bit different with the female just because of sort of gender stereotypes and sort of sex roles. But they can come across as almost like very humble, very self-depreciating, shy, introverted, and they can be almost hauntingly sweet, almost sweeter than a normal human being. And that can also be very applicable to the male narcissist, that very sweet, almost childlike, almost like a little bit maybe robotic. And the thing is about the female narcissist is she's going to use her children and her spouse as a prop. They're all about being an extension of that narcissist, how they make that narcissist look. If they are the perfect children, then they can make the narcissistic mother look like the perfect mother. They are highly perfectionistic. Their house, their clothes, their grooming, their children, everything looks perfect, right? They're all about presenting this image of perfection, like what would the neighbors think? And they are very concerned with their child getting like perfect grades and achieving at sports and having all these accolades, not because that's good for the child's emotional well-being and soul, which it might be, but because that makes the female narcissist, the covert narcissist, look good. And the kids are there just to make her look good. They may choose a profession that is very altruistic. They may choose to be a therapist, teachers, doctors, nurses. They may look like saints. They may look like people that are better than the average. They use their spouses or partners for money or social status. And this can be very under the radar, but you can see them going from, being like one marriage to the next, to the next, to the next. Usually there's overlap. So they start, the narcissist is only going to discard their past partner when they've already worked on grooming the new supply, and they'll start discarding once they've already secured the new supply. So these are people that get married over and over again, and there's no gaps. There's no 1, 2, 3, 4 year gaps in there to heal, to do some self-reflection. And of course, it's always the spouse's fault. That person is never able to take any personal responsibility. They seem nice, but they are not kind. These are not good people. They are nice. Don't confuse nice with kind. It's a very different thing. Their niceness is all about ingratiating themselves into your life. the covert narcissist, the female, she needs to stand out and look like that special person. And remember, they're the misunderstood special person. They are the snowflake. They don't realize that we're all like 7 billion people on this planet, and we're all just like people among people. We're just all like chop the wood, carry the water. That's not how they are. They're like very special. They're very entitled. They're the little darling. She's going to want to be admired and worshiped. Children are her pawns. She may even get pregnant just to use a child to secure a partner, to control a partner, to get financial support or loyalty. And you'll notice if you're having a conversation with them that almost all of their sentences start with I. So if you have a conversation with them, they're always going to turn it back to them. They're always going to say, oh, well, I, and they're any story you have, they're going to often play that game of tops that. Not always, but sometimes they'll be like, oh, well, here's this thing that happened to me after you tell them your story. They are going to triangulate. Narcissistic mothers or mother-in-laws, like they are going to triangulate. If you look at the Chris Watts case, it's speculated that his mother, Cindy Watts, was a narcissist, and she triangulated with Chris Watts and Shanann, and there was this triangulation always going on. They can triangulate two of their kids against each other. They can use, son-in-laws, daughter-in-laws. They're just always using triangulation. Instead of going to that person directly and confronting them directly, they're all about subterfuge, sneaky, indirect, passive-aggressive. They can be very dismissive, very demeaning and cold. They tend to use the silent treatment, stonewalling. They will ignore your feelings. They will use the silent treatment to deliberately punish you. They may not respond to direct questions. They may stonewall. And of course, if you're with a female covert narcissist, you are always the problem. They're going to make you feel like you're not good enough. The target is a moving target. You can never please these people. They are so ridiculously perfectionistic. Nothing you do is ever going to be good enough. And the bar keeps moving, right? And this is the same for male covert narcissists. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Just know that if you were with one of these people and you tried really hard to be a great spouse or great partner, or great kid or great, sister or brother, there's nothing you could have done because it's a moving target. Like, they are never satisfied. It's like they have this big black gaping hole inside of them that can never be filled. In our 12-step recovery, in our CODA program, we talk about that being a God-sized hole. So they're always looking for outside validation and perfectionism to fill up their God-sized hole. And once you see that mask drop, you're going to see another person. You are going to see another side of that narcissist that you've never seen. And you could have known them for a long time, 10, 15, 20 years. And when you see the mask drop, you're going to be staring into the eyes of somebody who is devoid of empathy, who lacks remorse, and who is vacant and empty inside. And it's actually kind of frightening if you've ever experienced it. One thing about these covert narcissists is if they seem too good to be true and you're like, oh my gosh, I just won the jackpot, that is a red flag, because that is not real. They are too good to be true because they're full of crap. So they're bad. I mean, not everyone that's good is like this, but if it seems too good to be true, it is. Remember, she's always going to be better than you. In the beginning of the relationship with one of these covert narcissists, they are going to mirror you. They are going to copy you. You're going to feel like you've never met somebody who is so much like you, who appreciates the same things you do, who likes the same food you like, who loves the same music you like. It's literally going to be like mirroring, where you feel like you met your soulmate. We hear that a lot in the forums, that people just feel like, oh my gosh, I met this person that's just so much like me. And that is what they do. They mirror their targets, right? They do that so they can form a bond, so that they can sort of ingratiate themselves to the victim. This is a false person. This is a false mask. They are sending a representative to relationships. And these are also people that engage in a lot of self-pity. No one appreciates them. No one understands how special they are. They don't understand why bad things keep happening to them, but they're cheating and gaslighting and lying to their partners, and they don't understand why their marriage isn't working, but they've cheated and lied and gaslighted. They're just so baffled. Relationships with these people are one-sided. They live in their minds, and in their minds, they are the star, right? They're the star of the show. They do not have good boundaries, which is why they engage in a lot of triangulation. They do not have any respect for your boundaries. And God forbid if you call them out on their porous boundaries. God forbid if you call them out on them violating your boundaries. You will be enemy number one. And they think that they're above the rules. Like, you have to be faithful, you have to be honest, you have to have integrity, but they are special. The rules do not apply. So they cheat, they lie, they gaslight, and they can cheat, but you can't. Don't you see? They're special. They tend to be hypercritical, whether that's verbal or in their minds. They're hypercritical, and they do not respond well to criticism. If they ever get any sort of criticism, perceived or real, they will counter it with projection, deflection, lying, and defensiveness. So they will often, whatever the covert narcissist is accusing you of, that is usually what they're doing. So they're going to project their stuff onto you. Projection and deflection, these are their weapons of choice. This is just what they use. They tend to be, they're compulsive liars. They don't lie. They lie for sort of different reasons. Really what they lie to do is to maintain their mask and their image and their false self. So it's very strategic, their lying. It's very planful and strategic. It's not sort of off the cuff, impulsive lying. It's very much about maintaining this false self. And, they're very ungrateful. It doesn't matter what you do for them. They absolutely cannot see what you do for them. They only can see what they do for you. And in their minds, and this goes for males and females, it's never even. In their minds, they're doing everything. They're doing all the work. They're just doing everything, and you're doing nothing, even though the reality is, objectively, if anyone else in the world looked at it, they'd be like, oh yeah, that person's doing 90% of the work, and the covert narcissist is doing 10. But in their minds, they only can tally the work that they put in. They're really unable to see your contributions. They are unable to recognize what you do to help them, and they are absolutely ungrateful. In fact, I think a lack of gratitude is probably one of the worst, internally for them. Their lack of gratitude is probably why they're so dang miserable inside. And they're treacherous. These people are treacherous, and some of them love to betray people, and sometimes it's very planful. And this can go for both the male and female. Like, they literally have been planning. Somebody who you look at and you're like, they can't even pack an overnight bag, will have been planning the discard for a year, and they will have planned it in an exquisite fashion to hurt you in the most specific way that would be painful for you. They're just masters at it, and they, a lot of them, it actually gives them happiness and glee, which is so creepy. You might see this thing, you might see this narcissistic smirk. I experienced it. There was an instance where, coming out of therapy, when the whole, affair was just, the therapist knew about the affair. The affair came out after 6 months of him lying in therapy and gaslighting and cheating and manipulating. And I was like hysterical and sad because I believed this person. I believed that they were telling the truth. I could not fathom that they were unfaithful, because they always acted so above it, right? This was a male narcissist. And coming out of that, after seeing my pain, but beside myself, sobbing, our therapist was just looking at him like, what is wrong with you? And he came out of the therapy session she let me go first because she knew I needed to calm down. And he came out of the building, and he had the creepiest smirk I have ever seen on a human's face. He was enjoying my pain. It was like, I have never experienced that before. I've never seen anything like that. So if you guys are experiencing that narcissistic smirk, that glee, that is I know it's bone chilling. It is not normal. That is not what normal people do. And I'm so sorry if you experience that. That will show you their really lack of empathy. They're just no remorse, their absolute inability to have any sort of emotional consideration for another human being. And really what a lot of these female narcissists do is they're going to roll out their new supply in this very obvious way and do this very drastic discard. And they will literally, these are the people that will like, they'll be in a marriage, with kids and everything. And then all of a sudden they're like living with their affair partner and like a week later or 2 weeks later, or, they can be, they can be living with their husband, having an affair with their affair partner, taking their kids on a hike with the affair partner before they've even moved out from the husband or told the husband that they're leaving or any of that. I mean, there's some creepy stuff going on with these people. They literally have no moral compass. They don't have a moral code. They don't have an off button that tells them that this may not be a good idea. And they just don't have any empathy or remorse, or, if they cheat on you, then they will say that it's because of something you did. They blame their cheating on the victim, right? I'm sorry, but for people who cheat, and you know what? Lots of people cheat. Normies cheat, alcoholics cheat that are actively in their addiction, narcissists cheat, sociopaths cheat. Sometimes people cheat because they're actually in love with the other person. Like, this can all happen. But a difference between a narcissist cheating and a neurotypical is a narcissist blames the neurotypical. The narcissist doesn't feel any remorse, doesn't feel any empathy, doesn't feel any sadness for the people that they've hurt. And so what's going to happen after the discard, the drastic discard, and you could be this poor man that's married to this woman, and you literally you don't even know what's hit you. You literally feel like you got hit by a Mack train. Or you can be a same-sex partner of this person that you thought was the love of your life, and you don't even know what hit you. So this can happen. And then what's going to happen, they may start posting it all over social media. Coverts are less likely to do that. It's more of an overt thing, but coverts will sometimes do that. But then what they will do is they are going to start to rewrite the narrative of the relationship. Okay, they're going to lie, they're going to character assassinate, they're going to do a smear campaign, and they are going to make themselves out to be the victim. And it doesn't matter what the truth is. These are not people who operate in the truth. They are not interested in the truth. They don't care about the truth. And they absolutely do not engage in fairness, decency, or equality. They're just not egalitarian. So these are people that will cheat on their partner, discard their partner out of the blue, destroy the children, and then they will go on to financially destroy their partner and drag them out in court for as many years as they can. They will fight for custody and emotionally annihilate their partners if they can. Their goal is to leave that person penniless, on the streets, in a brown paper box, begging for change. They want to see you, just decimated. That is how these people operate. And they're not normal. This is a personality disorder, or maybe it isn't a diagnosed personality disorder because they never go to therapists. So hard to get the diagnosis of NPD, but this is just somebody who's like highly narcissistic with their traits, or somebody who's a sociopath. And these people, unfortunately, if you are in a relationship with a female covert narcissist or a male, it's inevitable that you're going to have pain, because it's inevitable. This 3 part to the relationship: the idealization, the devaluation and the discard, they're absolutely going to be in all of their relationships, and they're going to repeat this pattern over and over again, like Groundhog Day. When they're 60 or 70, they will have been through 3 or 4 partners. They will have cheated on all of their partners. There's going to be overlap. It's fickle and ridiculous, but that is what they do. And you will notice too, so somebody had asked, like, what's the thinking like of a female narcissist when the partner is breaking up with them? And honestly, I don't really know. I cannot, it's hard for me to even put my head inside their head, because I do not think like that. I think when I was in my addiction and my active alcoholism, I definitely thought more like that, because I had a block in my empathy. And once I got sober and I did some spiritual work and I got in touch with a higher power, like my heart opened, right? So I can kind of imagine like having an impairment of empathy. I can imagine that. But I think, how they think when somebody is breaking up with them, if they have not secured a new source of supply, they're probably panicking. And if somebody's breaking up with them and they don't have that new source of supply, they're probably going to fight to kind of keep that old source of supply on the hook. They're going to keep coming back with their crocodile tears and their manipulations and their, you're the one for me, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to put on the syrup and the honey and the sweetness, right, to try to manipulate you more. But once they have secured their new source of supply, they're going to dump you like a hot potato. Now, if they're lucky in their world to be able to keep you, they'll just put you on the shelf. They'll just give you some crumbs while they're grooming their new source of supply. You're going to see a weird personality change. You're going to watch like them turn into another person. They're going to talk differently. They may even vote for different politicians. It's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen. They may talk differently. Their language is different. Their hobbies change. I mean, they are mirroring that new source of supply, and they can be quite schizophrenic. So if you are unlucky enough to still be like living with them or in a relationship with them when they're in this phase, they're going to be like this weird, schizophrenic robot, right? Where they're trying to still be your source and then they're trying to be the new source. It's just really weird. They're going to be getting confused because they're mirroring you both, but most their energy is going to go towards mirroring the new source of supply, and they're going to neglect their old source. They hope you stay on the shelf so that they can drag you down later and suck some more blood out of you like a vampire. These people will suck you dry. They will suck your all the money from you. They will suck all the emotions from you. They will just suck you dry till you're a husk of a person. But thank God you found these survivor communities, because there is hope for you. I'm doing some really intensive studying right now, and some further certifications on a lot on trauma and healing this complex PTSD. So I'm really going to start shifting my focus as much as I can to, how we can start getting you guys on the path towards healing. And I know if you're watching these videos, you're already on the path towards healing, but there's a lot of things that you can do actively to start healing your brain, to start healing your nervous system, to start calming yourself down, and to start taking your power back. So I hope that you guys are thriving and you are getting some healing. One thing I really recommend, I've recommended this in a lot of videos, but I really recommend that you read 2 books by Jackson McKenzie. One is called Psychopath Free, and you will help to understand the cluster B personality disorders, the different types, and what you might be dealing with when you're dealing with like a highly manipulative person. And then I would read the book Whole again, because that's where Jackson, who was in a relationship with a sociopath, he starts talking about his healing journey to start owning his part. And usually your part could be, if you're codependent or you're an empath, you probably maybe have problems with boundaries. You don't have as clear boundaries as would be beneficial to you. And then maybe there's some self-esteem, self-love, some childhood trauma in there, and you can heal a lot of that stuff. So you can learn that, just to set healthy boundaries, and you're not going to tolerate, these sort of manipulators once you get that down. So I hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content, and you can click on the link to my website if you're interested in some private coaching. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.